How's it going, guys? I'll just make a video talking about the ownership of this car. It's a 2022 Toyota GR86. I think at this point I've had it now for like 2.5 years. I bought this car new in April of 2022, and the funny thing is I actually found this car on a Facebook post, and like I will say that with this car I got really lucky. The place it was being sold was like an hour away, and it's the exact spec that I wanted, which the base car in manual and in white. So yep, in those 2.5 years I haven't done too much to it. I've done the exhaust and the coilovers. Most of my mods honestly have been on the interior. I replaced all the speakers with Kicker KS speakers. I have the Beatsonic amplifier, and then in the rear quarters I put some sound skins in there just to help with some of the highway noise. So the maintenance on this car so far hasn't ever really been too crazy. As far as the mileage goes, I'm almost at 32,000 miles. Just did one of the oil changes yesterday, and truthfully so far that's all it's needed. For the first 3 I did use the Toyota Care that the car comes with, so it was nice having those done for free. My car came with the GR performance air filter, which from what I understand is really just a rebranded K&N air filter. So that's due for cleaning and to be re-oiled, which I have the kit at home. I just never got around to it. But yeah, overall so far it's been a pretty solid car. Fingers crossed that it treats me well, so long as I treat it well. I think I'll also take this opportunity to talk about some of the good points and the bad points of this car. The good one obviously being that this car is very fun. This is my first like real like lightweight car that's also rear-wheel drive, and so far it's been very good. That also ties into well, the other thing I like is how this car looks with the second gens Toyota and Subaru. They just got it right. Like, these things are honestly absolutely amazing looking, and I've even gotten several compliments on it, even compared to my older cars. And something that I learned to appreciate was honestly just how simple this car is. Like, yes, it does have tech, not all of it. Like, this doesn't have the eyesight system that they introduced in the 24 models, but it does have Apple CarPlay, it does have Android Auto, and but yeah, otherwise it's pretty simple, and I learned to appreciate that. And then 5th point is that for being a small sports car, this is fairly practical. I know when they designed the 86, even the first gen, that was kind of the main thing, where like, this is a small sports car like the Miata, but it's more usable. And realistically, if you're on your own and you don't really need much, this could realistically be your only car. Of course, there is compromises with that still, but it's definitely doable. I've seen people who they've packed like lots of things in these cars, Just depends on how good you are at playing Tetris in your interior. So of course, while these cars, they're really great, they're not perfect. There's some bad things, but even for me, like, these are like very small, and two of them are kind of with the key fob, actually, of all things. So the main thing being that the range of the key fob is surprisingly bad. Like, you don't have to walk away from the car that far for it to be like too far for the signal to be picked up. From what I read online, that's the same case of pretty much any car that uses that Subaru key, which, you know, even though it has a Toyota logo, it is a Subaru key. So I think that, and like, so there's that, and also just in general, it is a little on the bulky side. My car came with the key cover, so that definitely doesn't help, but I'm gonna use them just because I paid for them. So it's just something that I deal with. And then of course, while it was never the intent of this car, having more power would not hurt. Of course, factory, these are rated at 228 crank, which is an improvement from the first gen. A lot of people who have put these cars on the dyno have seen around a 215 wheel, but definitely well over 200 wheel. So it's definitely not bad, but of course it's one of those things where having more power would be better. But like I said at first, that's not the point of this car, so that's whatever. This is the first video I'm doing that I like have a script, or not really a script, but just bullet points of things I want to talk about. Otherwise, this video would just be like, yeah, the car's good. Yeah, you should buy it. But yeah, other bad thing, no, not really bad. These are things that, like, when you're buying this car, you just, you go in, like these should not surprise you, but still. So, the noise in the interior, it is a lightweight sports car. But I guess the one con of that is that when you're driving on the highway, or even just in general, it can get kind of loud on the inside, which especially, like, if you're going for like a long drive, like a long highway road trip, that can get kind of tiring. And it's part of the reason why I did the sound scans in the rear quarters, because it's tight. That's just something that, like, it's just the natural byproduct of being such a light car. And then the other nitpick, these guys back here. Those back seats are kind of just back seats in name only, where I fit a person back there. But it just depends on if the front passenger is on the shorter side. So if that's the case, then the back seat there is fine. Well, fine-ish, for as good as the back seat of a coupe can be. And really, though, that was it. As far as bad points, again, nothing too crazy, and even then more of like small things that, like, if I really had to, like, pick this car apart, being that this whole time this has been my only car, but at the same time I knew I was getting myself into. Alright, so while I'm here, we're going to take the opportunity to do, I think at this point, like, I think maybe a 2-month update video on the HKS coils. When I uploaded the video, they've already been on the car for, I want to say like 2 weeks. So how have they been since then? Honestly, I still love them. In the first video, when I was on the highway, you could see that like it was a little bouncy. To be honest, I don't know enough to know like, if that's caused by the damping being on the softer side. I haven't touched it since. Honestly, I just got used to it. Hopefully the wind noise isn't too bad, but the weather's just way too nice to not have the windows at least kind of down. HKS coils, they've been great. I haven't touched the damping since I put them on. It is still kind of bouncy, but at this point I just deal with it. Because the trade-off with it taking harder impacts much better is so worth it that I'm fine with it, honestly. Like I'll just live with it. All the things of people saying it, of them being more comfortable than the factory shocks, that's true. I know the BRZs ride on the softer side from what I've heard. It's not a huge difference, but the GRs, they definitely ride rough. So this was a much needed improvement. Anyway, so for this car, what is next? Finally biting the bullet and buying wheels up for this car. Not gonna go too crazy. One of the things that I like about this car is that so far it's been not the most expensive car to modify. We're not gonna do anything too crazy, but still not gonna go like cheap. Wheels and tires are next. Of course, with that, TPMS sensors. As far as the other mods go, I used to have a front lip on this car. I since have taken it off. It was a cheap lip anyway. Mainly I bought it just so that like if there's any bumps, that'll take the impacts and not mess up the actual bumper too much. So definitely more of like a sacrificial piece. So definitely want to get a new one, because while I do like the no lip look, having something there, it just makes the car look right. Yeah, all in all, like I never wanted to go like super duper crazy with this car. If I end up keeping this car for a very long time, then maybe a supercharger. That's a big maybe. So I think with all that being said, I think probably the biggest question, if not, or maybe two questions, but kind of the same. Would I buy this car again, / would I recommend that people buy it? I think I kind of already said yes to that, but yes, I do recommend it, and yes, I would buy it again. Which normally I'm not the type that would want to buy the same car twice, but this and one other car that I've had, if I had to, then I would, and this is a definite. But I will say, if you're interested in this car and you're specifically interested in buying one new, it might be easier to just go with the BRZ, and that's mainly to do with Toyota's allocation process, where essentially like the dealerships get what Toyota gives them. And then, you know, once they have the cars, they can trade amongst themselves. But with Subaru, you can custom order your own car, and you'll have it within like maybe 3 or 4 months. Maybe since it has gotten faster. But The point being that you will get the car that you spec'd out, versus with a Toyota, either you have to compromise on some part of the car or you'll have to wait. And that's the reason that I brought up finding this car on a Facebook post and it being the exact spec I want, because in my case I got really lucky. So yeah, yes, buy the car. If you're buying new, definitely look at the BRZ also, because especially if one of your main reasons for the 86 is the front bumper, you could just swap it over to the BRZ. Plenty of people have done it, and it's not too crazy expensive of a swap, even buying that bumper brand new. Alright, so I hope something in this video has been helpful. Definitely subscribe if you want more, and I'll see you guys later.